Welcome to this training video on the Tobii mobile device testing stand. The stand is designed for the X2 eye trackers, and specifically the X230 and the X260 compact edition eye tracker. The stand is designed for testing mobile devices and other objects of similar size. The stand just attaches using these clamps on any table and is built with a durable aluminum and steel construction. This makes the stand very stable in use. And the eye tracker mounts just here on the bottom. It just snaps in. And here on this special surface you can mount your mobile device. The stand supports larger tablets like that, or medium-sized tablets like so, or even smaller mobile devices like a mobile phone. They can easily be mounted on there just by holding it down on the adhesive surface. After mounting, the participant will be able to rotate the device in a natural way, 90-degree angles, so they can use it in either portrait or landscape mode. The scene camera is a HD scene camera with a 1080p resolution, and it can actually be adjusted in height to accommodate for larger or the smaller devices. These bars, they help the participant just to keep the arms away from the field of view of the eye tracker. They're optional, but they are recommended. The stand can be adjusted for participants of different height using the fine adjustment on the back by simply rotating it up or down. The eye tracker connects with one USB cable and the scene camera with another. The Tobii mobile device testing stand comes with a nice travel case for safe storage and easy testing in the field. The Tobii mobile device testing stand is ideal for usability or UX testing on mobile applications or websites, but can also be used in market research on mobile ads or other content. I will now show you how to get started with the Tobii mobile device testing stand. The stand is supplied in this strong case. On the back of the case there's a retractable handle. If you just pull this out, you can put it up, and if you pull this again, you can put it back down. It of course has wheels, as you can move it around wherever you like. On the front of the case there's two locks which easily open like that, and on the inside we find all the components. Let's have a look at the content of the travel case. On top we have two calibration boards. The scene camera is here. Just take it out carefully. Then in the center we have the main body of the mobile device testing stand. Inside you will also find some screws and other small parts, and mounting pads and mounting putty for mounting the mobile devices. You can easily take this out by just pulling it straight up. It is quite heavy, so just be careful. And please note the screws. The top screw has to be all the way out when storing it again, and the bottom screw all the way in. That's the only way it will fit properly in the case. Here the height adjustment on the back also needs to be in the center for a proper fit in the case. All the way in the bottom of the case we have two rods for the scene camera, which allow the scene camera to be mounted in different heights. Here in the corner we have two brackets for mounting the mobile devices and two guide bars to avoid obstruction of the eye tracker during the test. Then we have two of these bracket mounts which allow a bit higher position of the mobile device, which can be beneficial in some cases. There's another extra accessory, and this is the eye tracker extension. And the eye tracker extension part basically allows the eye tracker just to be a little bit higher, which can be used in some cases also with, for example, taller people. Let's assemble the mobile device stand. Starting with the main body, which slides on almost any table. Depending on the thickness, you can adjust these screws and just slide it on the table, tighten the screws, and just double check always if the screws are actually tight and the stand doesn't move on the table. Next step is the scene camera. The scene camera actually comes with 2 extension rods which define the height of the scene camera. The long extension rod and the short. Both of these mount in the same way. We're going to use the long extension rod. This longer rod will make the scene camera be in a higher position, which allows a wider field of view of the camera. For example, if you're testing larger devices. This one attaches with these longer screws that you find in the little bag. The longer screws attach on the back. Then we can mount the scene camera arm, which just slides on the extension rod like that. And we can just tighten it again with these similar screws as we used on the bottom. Like so. Just make sure that they're tightened properly and that the setup doesn't wiggle or move anymore. The cable of the scene camera can be guided along this rod, like this, all the way down. We supplied some Velcro strips that you can cut to size yourself. The next step is to mount the guide bars. The guide bars are important for keeping the hands of the participants out of the view of the eye tracker. These just slide in like that. You can actually slide them in different positions, whatever you prefer, but we recommend a straight angle. Just slide them in on both sides, and we can secure these using 2 of these small screws that are supplied. Make sure the guide bars are firmly tightened to avoid any moving around during your testing. The next step is to mount the mobile device. You can just push the mount in and it'll lock in place. The mount rotates and clicks in 90-degree angles to allow switching from portrait into landscape mode on a mobile device. By default, we recommend using the flat mount. We do, however, have this bracket mount which raises the device a little bit higher. This does, however, limit the size of the area you can track. Please look at the manual for more details about this exact size and the implications of using this. The mobile device stand is designed to be used with the X230 or X260 Compact Edition. It is not designed for the wide edition, as that will stick out and you might bump into it and damage the eye tracker. The eye tracker mounts here with a simple magnetic connection. It'll snap into place. Another optional accessory on the mobile device stand is this eye tracker extension part. The eye tracker extension will move the eye tracker more up. This also requires a slightly taller participant just to remain in the right place in the track box. If you want to mount this, please remove the eye tracker first. Slide this in place with the bar down. Use the 2 remaining screws and attach it on the back. Now we can slide in the eye tracker again, just as we did before, in the higher position. For further information on when to use the eye tracker extension bar, please see the manual. For the purpose of this training video, we will continue in the standard setup, which is without the eye tracker extension. Now we can mount the mobile device. The mobile device is either mounted with one of these adhesive nano pads or with the supplied mounting putty. The mounting putty conforms a little bit easier to different surfaces, but the nano pad is the easiest solution. You can cut it into any shape that will suit your mobile device. Remove the protective foil and just place it on the flat holder. Before mounting the mobile device, we first slide in this short fixing rod here in the front. This will help align the mobile device by just lining it up right there, and just make sure you give it a bit of a press so that it stays in place even when rotated later. The next step is mounting the calibration board. The calibration board slides over these pins. When you're using the flat mount, it slides over the lower pins. If you're using the bracket mount, it will slide over the top pins. So just align the holes in the back and slide it down, and align the hole in the front with the fixing rod, just to make sure it stays in place. It should be flat on the mobile device. Before you can start a recording, you first have to configure the eye tracker for the Tobii mobile device stand. Go to Start, search for Tobii eye tracker browser, select your eye tracker and select Config tool. In the X configuration tool, there are several measurements we need to give. These measurements can be found in the manual depending on each configuration of the mobile device stand you might use. For the recommended setup, referred to as A1 or A2 in the manual, with the flat mount and the eye tracker in the lower position without the extension bar, we have to fill in the X2 angle minus 5.2, the distance to the mobile device should be minus 16 centimeters, the device offset should be 5.7 centimeters, and the device angle should be 0 degrees. The active display size is the size of the calibration board, which in this case with the default calibration board is 14 by 14 centimeters. You can now save this file or load a pre-existing configuration if you've entered these numbers already. You can then load from file if you want to reload these settings. Before closing this window, make sure that you select Save to Eye Tracker. You should see the following pop-up. Now select OK and close the X configuration tool. Close the eye tracker browser. Now you're ready for making a recording. We do offer a few other setups which you can find in the manual. We first have to create a new project in Tobii Studio. For the mobile device testing stand, we will use the scene camera element, drag this down to the timeline. We then have to select our video source, which in this case is the Logitech HD Pro webcam C920. It will then ask us for a couple things such as the color space, the output size and the frame rate. For the output size you can select any size you like, but we recommend using a HD resolution such as 1280x720 or 1920x1080. The frame rate you can also choose. A lower frame rate and a lower resolution will of course give a smaller file size. Next we have to decide which video codec to use. By default, the Microsoft Video 1 codec will be available. There is another supported video codec which delivers a higher quality video, which is called the Morgan MJPEG codec. Please visit morgan-multimedia.com and select the 32-bit version of the MJPEG codec. Even if you're running a 64-bit software, you should always select the 32-bit version. After downloading, please install the codec and follow the instructions. You can then restart Tobii Studio. Now in the scene camera element setup, you can select Edit, find the Morgan MJPEG compressor on the right list of the disabled codecs and move it over in the enabled codec list. Now it should appear in the drop-down list under video codecs. Select it and just make sure that the output size is still as you selected. Now we can go into camera settings. These are the settings for the scene camera. Move over the window so you can see the preview of the scene camera. You have zoom controls here where you can zoom in, zoom out, and also pan. The right sound option should be enabled. This will increase the quality of the recorded sound. The autofocus should be disabled. We will manually focus this in just a few moments. First, you should zoom in on the screen just to get a detailed look on the quality of the video. Advanced settings, lower the exposure and the gain. For a more balanced image. You can also adjust the brightness, the contrast, color intensity and the white balance. If we switch back to the first tab, we can now adjust the focus, move the slider of the focus until the image in the preview is in focus. We can then zoom out so the entire tablet or other mobile device is in view, and save our settings. Now we have to add a calibration board. Next, press New. This will make a calibration image. On this calibration image, these points in the corners and in the center need to align with the points on the calibration image. Select Zoom for a zoomed image, and you can also use Maximize for an even more zoomed in picture. Now align each of these points with the numbers on the calibration grid and select OK. Select OK again in the Scene Camera Element Setup window, and we're done setting up the scene camera. The next step is connecting the eye tracker. Make sure the eye tracker is connected via USB or Ethernet cable, and select your eye tracker in the eye tracker selector. Since we're using a scene camera and a calibration board, we need to use what is called a manual calibration procedure. Go to Setup, Settings, Calibration, and select Manual. Also make sure that the number of calibration points is set to 5. Now select OK, and the setup should be ready for testing. To start a recording, select Start Recording, enter a participant name, when both of the participants' eyes are clearly visible in the box, this means they are in a good position. The participant does not have to be in the center of the box, and is typically a little bit higher in the box when using the mobile device testing stand. Now start the calibration. The screen will show a cross for each calibration point. Starting on the top left, the calibration grid that the participant is looking at is numbered. So we will start with number 1. Ask the participant to look at number 1 first, and select either spacebar or the left mouse click. Now proceed to the next point. Ask the participant to look at number 2. Select spacebar or the mouse, and continue this way for the next points. You will now see the calibration results. In this case, all points are good, and we can accept the results. Tobii Studio will now show the track status again. Just make sure the participant's eyes are still clearly visible. You can also give the recording a name and start the recording. Once the recording has started, you should see a scene camera window with a live view of the eye tracking. Now remove the calibration grid and start your test. You can maximize this window for a better view. To stop the recording, either select Stop or press Escape. You can now view the recording in the Replay tab for further analysis. If you'd like to use a microphone and a user camera, go to Setup, Settings, and select the Screen and Video Capture tab. Here you can select a user camera, select your camera, select the video settings, a maximum resolution of 640 by 480 is recommended. To record the user's sound, select the microphone on the source. The supplied scene camera has a built-in stereo microphone, which can be used by selecting the HD Pro webcam from the drop-down list. Now select Apply and OK. Tobii Studio will now record the user's sound along with the scene camera capture. During a study, the participant might move out of the track box and may not be tracked anymore. You can show the track status for monitoring the participant's movements during the study by selecting Setup, Show Track Status. This will now show a pop-up window with the track status, which can be moved around in an appropriate position. If the participant moves out of the trackable area, you can ask them to move back into the trackable area. To adjust the angle of the mobile device stand, first release the knobs on the side, on both sides. Then use the fine adjustment knob on the back to raise or lower the stand. Use the large knobs on the side. Just make sure they're tight. The guide bars help keep the participant's hands from obstructing the eye tracker. The X2 eye tracker has a large head movement box. However, the participant needs to stay within this head movement box to be tracked properly. The position of the head movement box can be finely adjusted. For larger adjustments, we recommend a height adjustable chair. The mobile device testing stand has a maximum trackable area of around 12.5 inches from the center of the holder.